Everybody, welcome back to Exploring Temecula. In today's video, I'm going to go into 4 or 5 cities around Temecula that I think are viable options just depending on what your needs are if you plan on moving to the Inland Empire from either somewhere in California or throughout the United States. Each individual cities has its pros and cons, and I'm going to go over those, and hopefully it'll give you a really good idea of a starting point where you should maybe just start your search in regards to homes. We're a local brokerage, a local appraisal company here. We know the area very well, so if you have any further questions, even if it's just you're coming here for a vacation, please reach out. I'd be glad to help you with any questions you may have. So let's get into the video. Okay, so first Menifee, and I wanted to talk about the growth of this city. I think it's in the top 10 of all the United States. The massive influx of people over the last 15 years to Menifee is really just astounding. Now, that brings me into one of the negatives, and that is the infrastructure that surrounds Menifee. It gets really, really busy. I don't think there's enough off-ramps if you just go there during lunch hour or busy times during the day, you know, the mornings or at night, you know, let's just say from 5 to 7 o'clock. The off-ramps are just jam-packed, the worst being Newport exit. I really think that if Menifee keeps growing the way it is, they're going to need more resources, more roads, just to accommodate the sheer amount of people that are moving to this area. Okay guys, so the first thing I wanted to talk about with each community is the homes. We'll start with Menifee. One of the biggest reasons, in my opinion, that Menifee has grown so much is it's one of the nicer cities in Southern California for the money. It's going to be anywhere from 10 to 30% less than even Murrieta, Wildomar, or Temecula. When they first started building in Menifee, of course, the closest to the 215 freeway they could get is just optimal for people because that's what they want to be by the freeways. As Menifee has grown, you'll notice on a map, the growth has happened farther and farther from the 215 freeway. Now, quality of life in Southern California, yes, you want to enjoy the sunshine, you want to enjoy the pool in your backyard. So being farther from the freeway makes it that much more difficult in the mornings or at nights to get home. You're in your car an extra 30 to 50 minutes every day. So keep that in mind. Regardless of where you live in these 4 cities, if you need to get to the freeway, that is going to sometimes affect the price of the home. The closer to the freeway, you know, you're probably going to spend a little bit more. And also the newer builds, if you want a newer home, they're generally going to be farther from the freeway. Just because that's what's been growing the last 5, 6, 7 years. There's no land to build close to these freeways anymore. A pro, I guess, of Menifee in regards to its location would be that you're closer to Riverside, you're closer to Orange County, and depending on where you're working, I would strongly suggest that if you're working in Riverside, it's going to cut off a lot of drive time in regards to you being in your car. So be aware of that. Pick one of these cities, if possible, that is closest to your work. Now, the downside to Menifee, and one of the reasons that this is true throughout all of America, the school system matters. The school system drives home prices up. I don't have specific experience in putting kids through the Menifee school district, but if you go online, the school system and ratings is going to be less in Menifee, definitely, than, let's just say, Murrieta or Temecula. So if that's important, I would probably push you more towards the Murrieta or Temecula area. If you are a young couple, you like things to do, you like going to the bar, you like going to go out to eat on Friday or Saturday nights, there's just less in way of amenities. Yes, there are restaurants, but the vibe is going to be totally different in Menifee than it would be in, let's just say, Old Town Temecula or even parts of Murrieta. So if that is something that is important to you, if you're a newlywed, if you're a couple and you want to get out and do things on the weekend, I'm not necessarily saying that it's a bad thing to live in Menifee and drive to Temecula or Murrieta. It's not that far. But overall, there's going to be more things for you to do, especially in Temecula, than Menifee. Okay, so now we're moving down south to Murrieta. Now, Murrieta is off not only the 15 freeway, but also the 215, just depending on, again, where your employment is, might be where you start looking in Murrieta. The major growth in Murrieta is happening off the 215 freeway, Clinton Keith area. A lot of homes being built. There's a lot of new business, a lot of new restaurants. So that, in my opinion, if you're looking for a new home build or a newer home, that is the area to look, off the 215 around the Clinton Keith area. Okay, so now let's get into the housing of Murrieta. It's going to be around 10 to 15% less than Temecula, 10 to 15% more than Menifee. Very comparable to Wildomar when you're getting into the single family resident communities, where Wildomar is going to differ, in my opinion, than many of, or all three of these communities. There's just more opportunity to buy that fixer, be a more rural, but we'll get into that later in the video. Schools, Murrieta, you're not going to go wrong. I'm not going to talk too much about the school districts, just because I hit on it a lot. But out of these four cities, if you're going to purchase a home, or if that's a big driving factor in picking a home, Temecula and Murrieta are going to be your best bets. Two communities that I wanted to talk about because they're the more prevalent communities in Murrieta. My favorite community in Murrieta is Greer Ranch. Absolutely beautiful. The downside to Greer Ranch is, number one, you do have a gate, a guard gate, which I guess is a plus, but the HOA is going to be around $250 a month. But if that is something that you're looking for, if you like the idea of having a guard-gated community, look at Greer Ranch. It's absolutely beautiful. The amenities inside Greer Ranch are beautiful. The pool is really nice. The homes, some of them have views. Now be aware, there are areas of Greer Ranch that for insurance, because of the fires, it is going to be more, but there's areas in Greer Ranch that there's not, that just doesn't happen. So it really just depends on the home. You have to do your research and make sure you understand before you get into escrow what insurance is going to be on that specific home in Greer Ranch. But in my opinion, Greer Ranch is the nicest community in Murrieta that is still semi-affordable for most people. Okay, so the next community in Murrieta that is very popular and very well known is called Spencer's Crossing. The pros of Spencer's Crossing are the amenities. It's got tons of things to do. Pools, walking paths, parks, very close-knit type of community. My guess is that there's going to be a lot of newer families, so if you have kids, that could be a huge plus. The negatives of Spencer's Crossing would be the tax rate. The tax rate with Melrose is going to be about 1.8%, so it is pretty high. The HOA is going to be a little over $100 per month, and the opportunity for the vegetation or the landscape to grow in Spencer's Crossing, it's because it's such a new community, it just hasn't had the time yet. So when you're driving through the community, yes, it's pretty, but it's not going to be as nice as something that's had time to grow like Greer Ranch. But in 10, 15 years, absolutely, Spencer's Crossing is going to be very, very beautiful. Now, because Spencer's Crossing, the popularity, that's another, probably I would say, a negative of Spencer's Crossing. The traffic in some areas getting to Spencer's Crossing, especially off Clinton Keith now with the recent development there, there's just a lot of cars, a lot of traffic. So if you are going to buy a home in Spencer's Crossing, make sure that if it's important to you to have some peace and quiet, do not buy off the major streets, because there is going to be a lot of traffic during those times in the morning and in the afternoon. Okay, so things to do in Murrieta. There is an Old Town Murrieta. A lot of people might like the Murrieta Old Town as opposed to the Temecula Old Town, just because it's not as busy, not as built up. It would be west of the 15 freeway, and we go there often. There's a lot of good restaurants. There's a lot of, there's a market night on Thursday nights that you can walk up and down. So Murrieta is definitely a viable option if that is something that you like doing, getting out, going to restaurants, doing those things on the weekends. And then you have Temecula just down the road, that's 10 minutes, that you have their old town, which there's tons to do, tons of shopping, tons of restaurants, tons of bars. It's a really fun place. And then you also have the wineries that would probably be on average around a 20 to 40 minute drive, depending on which winery you belong or want to go to. Really, Murrieta and Temecula, when you're driving through these cities, it feels like the same city. They butt up against one another. You're not going to even be able to tell when you cross over into Murrieta as opposed to Temecula in many areas. So if budget is an option or is a thing for you, if you're really looking for affordability with the same sort of lifestyle as living in Temecula, 100% go with Murrieta. You're not going to be able to tell the difference. There's great schools, there's things to do. Probably, in my opinion, the reason Temecula is a little more expensive is just that they have the wineries. They're more of a vacation destination at this point, and that's probably what's driving the home prices up a little more than what they would be in Murrieta. Okay, so next up, Temecula. What this channel's all about. Schools are great, tons to do, amenities that you don't have to search. The only thing that we do not have in Temecula is a Whole Foods. You've got the wineries, you've got Old Town, you've got a mall, an outdoor mall that has tons of shopping and lots of restaurants. It really is a great city. You've got Harveston, which is north of, in the north part of Temecula with a lake. Beautiful area to go walking, have a picnic, all those type of things. Not getting into too many specific neighborhoods. If you want specific neighborhoods of Temecula, I've pretty much done an article and video on every single community in Temecula on my website, exploringtemecula.com. So check those out. The negative of Temecula, I would say that it's sort of farther away from everything unless you have to go to San Diego or you are in the north part of San Diego for employment. If that is the case, 100% live in South Temecula. It's going to cut off a lot of drive time, and probably for the price you're going to pay for a home, the best option for somebody that is maybe employed in San Diego County. Okay, and finally, Wildomar. It's probably going to be comparable in regards to home prices to Murrieta. Now, the opportunity in Wildomar, and I've seen a lot of growth in way of people wanting to move to Wildomar. I can't believe some of the prices people are willing to pay to move to Wildomar. There are opportunities to have single family residence in a very nice community that would be similar to Murrieta and Temecula. Where Wildomar sort of separates itself, in my opinion, from all of these cities is you can live in a rural type area with land, let's just say 1/4 of an acre, 1/2 an acre, that's very close to the 15 freeway, that allows you to have livestock, that allows you to have maybe multiple dwellings on a single property. And the convenience of being close to the freeway is, I bring it up a lot, but I can tell you, living in Southern California, that is just something that a lot of people want. So, Wildomar is a very good option if you're looking for land, if you're looking for a fixer, if you're looking for a mobile home on land. Wildomar is a great area for that. And if you want more information, and I can be more specific, please just call me and then we can go over areas of Wildomar and give you a lot more information that I can just here on this video. So there you have it, guys. 4 cities in South Riverside County that you really should consider. They all have their own a lure. They all have their own pros and cons. So if you want more information, please reach out and I can spend 15-20 minutes on the phone with you. I can explain the pros and cons in depth more than I can here on the video. So thank you very much. Exploring Temecula, and until next time.